The key to understanding mythoses is to know the cycle of the sun and the celestial bodies, the seasons, the days, and the hours, as well as the life cycles of everything. The most obvious will be the figures representing aspects of the sun during its yearly journey. The path of the sun is called the ecliptic, alluded to in Matthew, Fomalhaut, 7:14, because strait is the gate, and narrow is the way, which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. The signs of the zodiac were chosen based on their proximity to the sun's ecliptic. A circle has 360 degrees, but the year has 365.2425 days, so the length of the year does not conform to a perfect circle. This has presented tons of problems with the calendar, but suffice to say, the year is divided into 12 zodiac signs that have macrocosmic and microcosmic significations. The best way to think about mythological characters is to conceptualize the sun being an actor playing different parts each time of the year as it goes through its journey. For example, Hercules fighting Hydra is the sun moving through the summer signs of the zodiac, or Leo. Hercules, Heracles, the pride of the lady, wears the skin of the lion. What lady is next to Leo? This symbolism is encoded in sphinxes with female heads and lion bodies. The sun in summer when it is hottest, its heat is known as the wrath of God. Lions are named after the sun, the Phoenician word being lis, which was absorbed into the ancient Greek lambda, lis, and lambda omega nu, leon, hence the encoding of the lily or lotus, the cradle of the sun, being a symbol of royalty, fleur de lis. In French, lis is lily because it looks like the sun. Leon, lion, corresponds to the Hebrew word Elyon, means God, the Most High. Abram means Father, the Most High, Abba plus Rama. In Latin, the sun is called Sol, because it looked like a round fiery plate. The archetype that shares this root is called Solus, the alone one, because the sun is alone in its glory. Sol Invictus is the invincible sun. Thus, in English, we have words like soul, soul, solace, solo, etc. Why is the sun so important? Because its declination, the angular distance of a point north or south of the celestial equator, determines the seasons, which if living beings don't account for, they will not be prepared for winter and thus perish. It begets the necessity of encoding the corn myth into everything. Corn and seed used to be synonymous, which is why there is seed symbolism encoded into traditions and names, from Capricorn, goat seed, the cult of Ceres, the seed, hence her corresponding to granaries and bread, Cerberus, the three-headed dog of the solstice who guards the gates of hell, or winter, cerebrum, higher mind, seat of Brahm, cerebellum, animal or lower mind, seat of war, cornucopia, and much more. The symbolism ultimately ties into the sun, with Charon, Krn, the root of Kronos, Saturn, and Cornu representing both a horn and radiance, hence the horned gods of the seed like Kronos, Pan, Cernennos, Jupiter Ammon, Zeus the Father, Moses, etc. Horns are occult symbols to clue the observer that he's looking at an aspect of the sun. The names of the planets you are accustomed to are all old names of the sun that were reassigned to the wandering luminaries around the 1st century AD, when the Greek names fell into disuse. However, even the Greek names did not come into use till the 2nd century BC. Jupiter and Saturn both share different versions of the same symbol, the cross and the ram's horn. Rama means Most High. Horn signifies radiance. What is the radiance of the Most High? It's the same concept encoded in the obelisk, the rays of the sun fecundating the earth. The corn myth is the death of the seed in the soil during the winter and its germination, or resurrection, in the spring. This natural cycle is worthy of having religions based on it because it mirrors the macrocosm of the sun's cycle and reflects the cycle of life above the plant life in the animal and human planes of existence. This is going to be a primary influence in all mythos. John 12 verse 24 is the corn myth, Verily, verily, I say to you, if the grain of the wheat, having fallen to the earth, may not die, itself remaineth alone, and if it may die, it doth bear much fruit. The year is divided into two covenants, the covenant of works and the covenant of grace. You could conceptualize them dividing the year at the equinoxes, however Libra is included in the summer months, because there's still lots of work to be done and harvests to be had before the sun enters the gates of hell, or Scorpio, also known as the slaughter month, because Scorpio is the time of year when people butchered livestock to preserve meat for the winter. The following sign, Sagittarius, was the time of year to hunt, hence the sign corresponding to a mighty hunter before the Lord, the sun in Sagittarius. Psalm 147 verse 10, He delighteth not in the strength of the horse, he taketh not pleasure in the legs of a man. Now that you've seen some examples of how mythology encodes astronomy, let's get a little more advanced and examine key religious figures like saints. Saint Patrick represents the beginning of the covenant of works, the sun crossing the vernal equinox, St. Patrick's Day, May 17th. What's behind St. Patrick's head? The sun. The sign of benediction? Thoughts, emotions, and actions over duality and ego. So you think, so you feel, so you act. When these are in unison, you have achieved unity consciousness. Columba and column are a play on the Latin words for dove and heaven. Why is the midheaven abbreviated as MC? The root of Brigida is from the Gallic bresh, a rupture, and the Irish bris, to break, which ties back to the Italian briga, strife or trouble. The termination Ida is symbolic with Mount Ida, which Meru or Zion, the world tree whose golden fruits are the stars, which would indicate the break in the zodiac, the conceptual equator or the equinoxes that divide the year. Conceptualize the two pillars as the equinoxes, which are the key points when the sun crosses the equator into heaven, summer, or hell, winter. St. Patrick's staff is sometimes depicted as a lichus, used by the augurs of Rome, or sometimes it is like a cross of Lorraine as it is here. They signify this portion of the sun's journey. Note the angles of the staff. When depicted properly, St. Patrick's angle is the sun increasing its declination, going to life or summer. Whereas with Michael, its declination is decreasing, going to death or winter. Here's the Freemasonic tracing board that the entered apprentice is given at the beginning of the initiation process. The whole tradition is encoded into it. Look at the directions on the edges. What happens when you turn the tracing board on its side? You now have the sun's ecliptic, Jacob's ladder, going from the Tropic of Capricorn, winter solstice, across the equator, equinox, and to the Tropic of Cancer, summer solstice. This is the thrice great nature of the sun, hence the triple crown and the name Hermes Trismegistus, thrice great. What is the keystone of the royal arch? These times of the year are similar in terms of weather, lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, but in one part of the year the sun is producing warmth and growth, while the other part of the year the sun is producing cold and death. Thus Jesus, the sun, said in the Apocalypse, I know your deeds, you are neither cold nor hot. How I wish you were one or the other. So because you are lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, I am about to vomit you out of my mouth. You say, I am rich, I have grown wealthy and need nothing. But you do not realize that you are wretched, pitiful, poor, blind, and naked. Why would people be rich or wealthy and need nothing at this time of year? Is the Apocalypse, Revelation, the beginning times or the end times? Do you know why John's revelation is called the Apocalypse? It corresponds to the final stage of initiation in the Eleusinian mysteries, where the last remaining mysteries are unveiled. Proclus wrote in Theology of Plato, the perfective rite, telet, precedes in order the initiation, musis, and initiation, the final apocalypse, epitheia. Which sign is the last sign of the 7 summer months, the last of the Asiatic churches, or in other words, the end of days? The Church of Laodicea is the last of 7 churches addressed in Revelation. What does Laodicea mean? It comes from the Greek lambda alpha, laos, a people, plus delta kappa eta, dike, righteous, just, rule of law, penalty, punishment, and vengeance, equals a people of justice, judgment, and righteousness. What sign corresponds to justice and the scales of judgment? Libra. Why is it considered Judgment Day? Because it is the end of the covenant of works, where you reap what you have sown, and the sun judges the world in equal day and equal night. Equinox means equal night in Latin. Saint Michael represents the sun crossing over the autumnal equinox, celebrated on Michaelmas, September 29th. This symbolism encodes the sun blotting out the other constellations in this portion of the sky, in this case Serpens with the scales of Libra pulling his head down, hence the allegory of Michael fighting Satan. Also notice the declination of the weapon or staff that Michael is usually depicted with. It corresponds to the sun going south into winter, hence the season that corresponds to it being fall, or the fall of man. Mary at the foot of the cross signifies the sun leaving the Virgin, Virgo, and going into judgment, Libra. Which of the 5 zodiacal signs are the 5 months of suffering, the 5 wounds of Christ, or the Lamb? Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. The Agnus Dei, Lamb of God, existed in Italy and the Roman Empire before the time of Christ. Who rules Aries? Mars, which a dry, fiery, masculine archetype. Agni in Sanskrit is fire, Agnes is lamb, and Aries is ram. Thus, Aries is a cardinal fire sign. Agni is considered the mouth of the gods and goddesses and the medium that conveys offerings to them in a homa, votive ritual, a burnt offering. Agni is conceptualized in ancient Hindu texts to exist at 3 levels, on earth as fire, in the atmosphere as lightning, and in the sky as the sun. This triple presence accords him as the messenger between the deities and human beings in the Vedic scriptures. So we see the Trinity and his nature as a messenger of the gods. Eusebius, the father of ecclesiastical history, wrote, "Those ancient Therapeuti were Christians, and that their ancient writings were our Gospels and Epistles." Translated from Greek to English by Reverend Robert Taylor. This is an admission of Christianity coming from a Jewish Buddhist sect in Egypt. What are the 4 Gospels? They are those of Luke, Mark, John, and Matthew, the 4 portions of the year, as will be proven. Luke, Aldebaran, and John, Antares, are red stars, east and west, while Mark, Regulus, and Matthew, Fomalhaut, are white stars, north and south. I've just given you the riddle of the Sphinx, the body of the bull, the paws of the lion, the wings of the eagle, and the head of a man. So where are these stars located in the zodiac? The fixed signs, right in the middle of the seasons. You now have the foundation for every cross. The 4 evangelists signify the fixed cross, which is where the royal stars are located. The cardinal cross is significant because that's where the equinoxes and solstices occur. You now know what the 4 angels and 4 evangelists represent. Can you decode the Wheel of Fortune? What do the Latin letters signify? How do you pronounce the Hebrew name in the Wheel of Fortune? How do you pronounce iota omega beta? From Job 38 verses 31 to 33, canst thou bind the sweet influences of Pleiades, or loose the bands of Orion? Canst thou bring forth Mazzaroth in his season? Or canst thou guide Arcturus with his sons? Knowest thou the ordinances of heaven? Canst thou set the dominion thereof in the earth? What is Mazzaroth? Do you remember what Elion meant? Do you know how it transliterates to English? Olean. L and R interchange, i.e., lex, law, rex, king, legal, regal, loyal, royal, etc. Thus, Olean is Orion, which is philologically Orion. If you enjoyed this presentation, please bookmark it, revisit, and share it across social media. When you're ready to initiate yourself into the ancient universal system, read Spirit World,